Hi, I'm Leo and welcome to my YouTube channel SCodemy. This is my first video on CSS3, and in this video I'll show you how to save your CSS3 files and how to put them in your HTML code. And I'll also talk about the CSS syntax and the different types of CSS3 selectors. Now basically, like I said in my HTML video, that we use HTML to create the structure of our web page and also to define the contents of our web page. For example, we have the heading 1 here, we have a list here which is more like the navigation. Now first I'm going to show you how to add your CSS file to your HTML code. Now basically, to do that, you go to the head section of your code. By this I mean external, using external style sheets, and when you go there you open a link tag. Now if you're using Sublime Text, when you click on link tag, everything will show. Now rel is style sheets, and your href is the name of the file or the location of the file if the file is not stored in the same folder with your HTML code. So I want to put this style sheet to this HTML code. So this style sheet is saved in a folder called CSS, and I'm going to write CSS because that's the folder. I'll put a / and I'll put the name of the file, which is navbar.css. Now when I save and refresh my browser, you would see it. So basically we use CSS to style up our page, and by style up we mean to format our page and sometimes add some layout. You can see the difference between this and what you saw before. Alright, next up, let me show you how to save your CSS files. Now if you're using Sublime Text, all you need to do is click Ctrl N, which will mean new file, and then Ctrl S. When you do that, it's going to take you to a directory or a folder where you're going to save your files. Now I have a folder on my desktop called YouTube, and inside I have another one called CSS. That's where I save all my CSS files. So let me save this as CSS3 intro dot CSS. Now whenever you're saving your CSS files, you must put this .css. If you don't, when you put it into your HTML code, it will not run properly, or it will not even run at all. So click on save, and that's that. Now I want to talk about the CSS3 syntax. Now when you look at this block of code, you're going to see I have something outside, and then I have a curly braces, and I have things inside the curly braces. Now this element outside is called the selector, and by selector I mean this points to the HTML element you want to style. This tells your CSS file that you want to style the heading 1 tag, and it tells it that you want to style up your nav. So the selector tells the HTML, points to the HTML code that you want to style up. Now next, inside this curly braces, you're going to see float right background color block. Now basically each line of code having this is called a property, and this is called a value. Now each line of code having a property and a value separated by a column is called a declaration, and then every declaration on this declaration block you can see is separated by a semicolon. So after each line we'll put a semicolon before the next one. Now everything here from this opening curly braces to the closing one is called the declaration block. Now like I said before about the selectors, there are different types of selectors. One of them is called the element selector. Now basically, you know what an element is when you go to your HTML code. Your head, your body, your nav, your ordered list, your section, sidebar, footer, your paragraph P, they are all elements. Now when you want to style them up, you go to your CSS code and you just put the name and you open your curly braces. For example, let's say I want to style up the body. I'll just put the name and I'll put my curly braces, and then I'll begin to put my values and my properties and values. Now there's another one called the the class selector. Now the class selector is when you have a class in your code. For example, I have a main bar here in the class attribute. That's the name of this class attribute, and I want to style it up in my CSS file. You can see I started it with a dot. So whenever you want to style up your class attribute, you put a dot main bar. This is before you open up your curly braces. This is how you style your class. So this is a class selector. And the last but not least is the ID selector. Now if you go to the section, you'll see there's an ID called sec. Now when you want to style up this ID, you don't put a dot, you put the hash tag and then you put your ID before you open up your curly braces. Alright guys, those are the 3 types of selectors or CSS3 selectors. Now in this video I told you what CSS is, and it is cascading style sheet, and what it is used for, which would be to format our page and create some layouts, or just say to style up our page. And I showed you the CSS syntax. And if you enjoyed this video or you want me to continue to post here, please subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video where I'll be talking about the block element and the inline element. Thanks and have a lovely day.